Amid the dazzling lights of Hollywood, there are stars who shine through luxury, but there are also those who leave a lasting impression through authenticity, warmth, and humanity. Sally Field is undeniably one of them. From her breakthrough role in Norma Rae, portraying a factory worker fighting for justice, to the tender image of a mother in Forrest Gump, Sally has left an indelible mark on cinema. Yet behind that glow lies a long journey marked by tears, pain, and inner battles that seemed insurmountable. Sally Field is not only a testament to talent, but also a symbol of resilience and honesty with oneself. She faced a childhood full of scars, love that fell short, and doubts about her own worth. Yet through extraordinary determination, Sally transformed her pain into strength and fragility into courage, so that every role she embodies feels like a whisper, reaching deep into the hearts of her audience. Her story is not just for movie lovers, it is for anyone who has ever felt small in this vast world. It reminds us that no matter how fragile our beginnings, we can still create a brilliant legacy, as long as we dare to live authentically. If you want to delve deeper into Sally Field's inspiring journey, from a childhood filled with trauma to the glorious moment on the Oscar stage, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss stories that move and empower you. Sally Field's childhood in Pasadena could have been wrapped in the warmth of a family, but in reality, it was marked by deep cuts, voids that she would spend a lifetime learning to heal. Her parents divorced when she was very young. Her father left, leaving an emotional void in her heart, while her mother, though loving, was often distant, absorbed in her work and personal relationships. In her memoir In Pieces, Sally revealed that even as a child, she learned to shrink herself to avoid causing trouble, to survive in a world where it seemed no one truly listened. The deepest, most painful wounds came from her relationship with her stepfather, the well-known stuntman Jock Mahoney. Behind the glamorous exterior and charisma of a Hollywood man, he was the one who inflicted years of abuse, casting a shadow over Sally's childhood. It was a secret she buried, one she could not speak of, weighed down by shame, guilt, and fear. To outsiders, little Sally seemed like a well-behaved, sweet child, but inside, her soul carried the haunting sense that she was invisible, that her worth was undeserving of love or protection. Pasadena, with its tree-lined streets and the warm, golden California sunlight, should have been a place of peaceful childhood memories. But for Sally, it was a place of isolation. She had few friends and never truly felt the safety of belonging. Each day after school, instead of eagerly sharing the day's joys and sorrows with her mother, Sally kept everything inside, as her mother was often preoccupied or lost in her own stresses. From this, a habit formed. Little Sally learned to please everyone, to smile even when fear filled her heart. It was in this darkness that a survival mechanism sparked: acting. From a very young age, Sally realized that when she became someone else, laughing, crying, or performing little skits on the school stage, she was no longer the abandoned child. She could be seen. She could be loved. Acting became both a shield and a doorway to her destiny. In Pieces, Sally recounts that for many years, she lived in two worlds: the real one, full of pain, and the world of acting, where she found a sense of peace and recognition. Yet even on stage or in front of the camera, deep inside, she remained the little girl yearning for an embrace, for the affirmation that she was good enough, worthy enough. Perhaps it is precisely this interplay between pain and longing that created the Sally Field audiences came to love. An actress who brings characters to life with such authenticity that they touch the very core of the viewer. Because more than anyone, Sally understands what it means to be hurt, to feel abandoned, to be undervalued. And it is these experiences that nurtured a compassionate heart and an extraordinary ability to inhabit roles that move people profoundly. Looking back on her childhood, Sally once admitted, "I would never want to relive those years, but I'm not sure I would be the person I am today without them." It is a confession both painful and powerful. Because the truth is, it was the darkness that shaped her, teaching her how to find light, and how to turn that light into inspiration for millions. And as we follow her journey, one question emerges for ourselves. Could it be that sometimes the very wounds of the past are the seeds that make us stronger? A childhood shadowed by silence and pain left Sally Field as a little girl constantly yearning to be seen and heard. And it was acting that became her salvation, a doorway where she reclaimed the voice that had once been stolen, a place where she could affirm her worth. It all began simply at her high school in Pasadena. Sally signed up for a drama class, just like any other student. But from the very first moment on stage, something magical happened. When she stepped into a character, she was no longer the shy, wounded child, always shrinking to avoid attention. On stage, she was free to laugh, cry, scream, and express emotions she had to hide in real life. For Sally, acting was not merely an art form, it was a language of survival. Her drama teacher quickly recognized something special in this small, quiet student. Not because Sally had an extraordinary beauty or a commanding voice, but because there was a raw authenticity in every glance, every gesture. People felt that she was not performing. She was truly living the character. Perhaps it was because Sally brought her own pain and longing into each role, giving it life and resonance that touched others deeply. It was from that drama class that a fateful opportunity arose. Sally was introduced to Columbia Studios, which was searching for new faces for television projects. For a young girl who had always felt invisible, stepping onto a Hollywood set was nothing short of a dream. But for Sally, it was more than an artistic dream. It was a chance to be seen, to be recognized, to finally prove that she was not invisible. Her early days at Columbia were far from easy. Hollywood is glamorous but ruthless. Many thought Sally too small, her voice too light, and lacking the star quality to make it. Yet instead of giving up, Sally worked quietly and tirelessly. She rehearsed every gesture, every line, determined to transform what others saw as weaknesses into strengths. And it was her honesty, the truth in her performances, that gradually made her stand out. For Sally, every time she stood in front of a camera was an act of healing. If her childhood had rendered her voiceless, film gave her a voice. If her past had made her feel invisible, acting made the audience see her, not just her outward image, but the depths of her inner life. Through this process, she began to reclaim a sense of self-worth she had never known. There were days when Sally would come home from school and practice lines alone in front of a mirror. She would focus her gaze, emphasize every word, imagining she was facing the entire world. In those moments, the little girl who had been abandoned found control, and she discovered the belief that she could rewrite the story of her life, not as a victim, but as a person with her own voice, strong and full of vitality. Then came a turning point when Sally was cast in her first television projects. This was the beginning of the rise of one of Hollywood's greatest actresses. But beyond a career opportunity, it was proof that perseverance, authenticity, and the courage to rise from darkness could open an entirely new path. Looking back, Sally has shared that acting saved her. It gave her not just a career, but a reason to keep moving forward, a place to transform pain into strength. And it is this that gives Sally Field's performances their unique quality, a truthfulness and warmth that can make audiences both cry and feel comforted at the same time. When Sally Field took her first steps at Columbia Studios, no one could have guessed that this small girl with bright eyes and an innocent smile would soon become one of the most familiar faces on American television in the 1960s. Her first golden opportunity came when she was cast as Gidget, a charming, carefree teenage girl who loved surfing and radiated boundless energy. The show Gidget premiered in 1965 and instantly catapulted Sally into teen stardom. Audiences adored her wholesome, approachable persona. They saw in Sally the quintessential girl next door, simple, lovable, and utterly relatable. In just a single short season, Gidget made Sally a household name, gracing magazine covers, appearing on talk shows, and capturing the hearts of fans across the country. Yet, With that glow came constraints that an 18-year-old could hardly understand. Sally soon realized that Hollywood did not love her. It loved a version of her character. To the audience, she was Gidget, cheerful, sweet, and forever 18. And then, when the show ended, the studio handed her an even stranger role, Sister Bertrill in The Flying Nun. Premiering in 1967, the show followed a petite nun who could fly. Thanks to her wide-brimmed habit, it sounded absurd, and indeed, the series quickly became a phenomenon. Over 3 seasons, The Flying Nun cemented Sally Field's status in the public eye. She appeared everywhere, becoming a face synonymous with American television and a point of pride for Columbia Studios. But behind that radiant on-screen smile, Sally lived with a gnawing inner conflict. She knew she was trapped inside a box, the bomb of the sweet, innocent, charming girl. Producers, audiences, and even the press tied her to this archetype, never seeing the depth, complexity, or range of emotion she longed to explore. In her memoir In Pieces, Sally admits that her time on The Flying Nun was one of the most challenging periods of her life. She felt underestimated, never taken seriously as an actress, seen only as a cute face to make people laugh. At times, she wondered, could I really become an actor? Or would I forever just be a television joke? That feeling was a betrayal of her original dream. For Sally, acting was not merely a career, it was where she found herself, a place to express her inner truth. Yet now, Hollywood seemed to be turning that dream into a gilded cage, dazzling and sparkling, but confining her soul. For many, being a television star in their 20s would be enough. But for Sally, it was never the destination. She wanted to be challenged, to play roles that were complex, edgy, and profound. Roles that could touch audiences in the most genuine way. And to achieve that, she had to make a daring choice, to leave the sitcom behind. It was not an easy decision. It meant giving up safety, stability, and fame to step into uncertainty. Many advised her against it, warning that leaving The Flying Nun would be career suicide, Joe. But deep down, Sally knew that if she didn't, she would remain forever the girl next door, sacrificing her true dream. That was the turning point, a young television star daring to abandon easy glamour in pursuit of her authentic artistic identity. And it was precisely this courage that later allowed Sally to rise, becoming one of Hollywood's most celebrated actresses, eventually winning 2 Academy Awards. After leaving sitcoms and stepping out of the shadows of Gidget and The Flying Nun, Sally entered a completely new phase of her life, a phase of challenges, doubt, and above all, rebirth. She understood that to become a real actor, she would have to start over, break down the walls of preconception Hollywood had built around her. That's when she turned to the Actors Studio, where the legendary Lee Strasberg had trained greats like Al Pacino, Marlon Brando, and Robert De Niro. In the strict, disciplined environment of the Actors Studio, Sally learned to confront herself for the first time. Strasberg didn't just teach technique, he forced her to mine her deepest pains and memories to bring them to life on screen. For Sally, it was more than a class, it was a healing process. From a typecast girl next door, she gradually became an artist capable of harnessing the full depth of her emotional range. Then came her first opportunity to prove herself with the television film Sybil in 1976. Playing a young woman with dissociative identity disorder, struggling with 16 distinct personalities. Sally stunned the world. She transformed completely, from a shy girl to a furious woman, from innocence to cunning, all delivered with spine-chilling authenticity. Audiences no longer saw The Flying Nun. They saw a fearless artist willing to explore the darkest corners of the human psyche. The role earned Sally an Emmy, but more importantly, it shattered every preconceived notion. She was no longer the sweet teen star. She had become a serious actor. Sally did not stop there. 3 years later, she rocked Hollywood once more with Norma Rae in 1979, playing a textile factory worker who courageously fights for labor rights. Sally poured her passion and heart into the character. The iconic image of Norma Rae standing on a table, holding a Union spine high, remains one of the most memorable moments in American cinema. For this performance, Sally Field won the Academy Award for Best Actress, a well-deserved reward for her years of perseverance and determination. Holding the Oscar in her hands, Sally famously said, "You like me. Right now. You like me." A line seemingly simple, yet it resonated deeply with millions. Behind those words lay a childhood of abandonment, years of being underestimated, and finally, the fulfillment of a long-held dream. Her success continued. In 1984, Places in the Heart brought her once again into the hearts of audiences, portraying a resilient widow during the Great Depression. This deeply human role earned her a second Oscar, proving that her earlier triumph was not luck, but the result of talent and courage. In the years that followed, Sally continued to showcase her range and vitality as an actress. From the emotionally charged Steel Magnolias in 1989, where she portrayed a grieving yet strong mother, to the humor and charm of Doubtfire in 1993 alongside Robin Williams, Sally demonstrated that she could navigate every emotional spectrum, from grief to wit. Then in 1994, the world once again witnessed Sally in an unforgettable role, the mother of Forrest Gump. With tenderness, wisdom, and unwavering faith, her character became an essential part of Forrest's journey, a figure beloved by audiences worldwide. The iconic line, "Life is like a box of chocolates," remains timeless. And it was Sally Field who brought warmth and life to that simple yet profound philosophy. Even into middle age, Sally continued to shine in powerful roles. One notable example is her portrayal of Mary Todd Lincoln in Steven Spielberg's Lincoln, 2012. As the complex, conflicted, and deeply emotional wife of a great president, Sally proved that decades in the industry had done nothing to diminish her talent. The role earned her a third Academy Award nomination and reaffirmed her legendary status in film history. The glamour of Gidget and the Flying Nun might have seemed to pave a smooth path through Hollywood, but behind the stage lights lay a far darker reality. Between 1973 and 1976, even as her fame soared, Sally experienced a severe psychological crisis. She felt trapped in roles she had not chosen, confined to the sweet girl next door image, while her deepest desire was to be recognized as a serious artist. The pressure of being boxed into stereotypes led Sally into a state of deep depression. She began to question her own worth. Did she truly have talent, or was she merely a television doll? These questions tormented her every night, plunging her into a spiral of loneliness and self-destruction. At the same time as harsh critiques of her appearance became invisible daggers, Hollywood, cold and ruthless, demanded an impossible standard. Sally developed an eating disorder, oscillating between extreme fasting to maintain her figure and episodes of compulsive, guilt-ridden eating. Her body weakened, and her spirit suffered. At times, Sally Field contemplated leaving acting altogether. She felt she no longer had the strength to endure the relentless grind. Scripts that came her way were dull and predictable. She nearly convinced herself that she might never be taken seriously as an actor. And in her darkest moments, Sally confessed that she had felt so invisible that no one truly saw the real person inside. Yet, even in that darkness, a faint light began to emerge. Sally realized she could no longer live as a product neatly packaged for others. She needed to redefine herself, to reclaim the voice that had been buried beneath the sweet facade Hollywood demanded. That was when Sally made a bold choice. She stepped away from the familiar sitcom grind and embarked on a risky journey, starting over from scratch. She turned to the actor's studio, where acting was not just about memorizing lines, but about living truthfully in every moment. There, Sally was asked to confront the deepest wounds of her past, her abandoned childhood, the traumatic memories of an abusive stepfather, the loneliness in a broken family. Every exercise became an encounter with herself, painful yet liberating. From this, Sally came to understand that the very things that had hurt her could also serve as treasures, shaping her into a distinctive artist. The years between 1973 and 1976 were grueling, yet they became a turning point. Instead of collapsing under pressure, Sally chose the harder path. She fought through depression, overcame her eating disorder, and seized control of her own life. She refused cookie-cutter roles, daring to risk obscurity, all in pursuit of the opportunity to live authentically through her art. And then in 1976, Sybil came along, allowing the world to witness the fruits of those dark years. But before the light reached her, Sally had walked through her own personal hell, and it was precisely that resilience that made her a living testament to the power of rebirth. This chapter in Sally Field's life is not just the story of a lost Hollywood star. It is a reminder to all of us that even in moments that seem utterly hopeless, we still have the right to reclaim our lives. And sometimes the very pain we endure becomes the most precious material for writing a brighter, new chapter. Throughout her journey, Sally Field did not just contend with Hollywood or the scars of her childhood. She also endured major upheavals in love and marriage. For her, matters of the heart often prove even more demanding than the most challenging roles on screen. In 1968, as a young television star striving to find her place, Sally married Stephen Craig, a man she hoped would bring a sense of home and peace. They had 2 sons, and at first, Sally believed family could fill the void left by her emotionally sparse childhood, but reality was far from idyllic. As her career began to soar, the marriage grew stifling. Endless shooting schedules, a lack of understanding, and mounting responsibilities caused Sally to feel herself slipping away. By 1975, she and Stephen divorced, a painful blow that left her wrestling with guilt over not maintaining a stable home for her children. Later in the late 1970s, after establishing her name with Sybil and Norma Rae, Sally entered a high-profile relationship with Burt Reynolds, one of Hollywood's most glamorous and powerful actors at the time. On the surface, they were the golden couple, dazzling the red carpet and captivating the media. But behind the flashes of cameras, the reality was far different. In her memoir In Pieces, Sally revealed that the relationship was controlling and manipulative. Burt, with his overpowering ego, often diminished her, treating her as a supporting role. Even though Sally herself was a shining star, he wanted her to conform to the mold he created, from her appearance to her career, turning love into an invisible prison. For a woman who longed to be recognized for her true worth, being belittled by someone she cared for was deeply wounding. Sally admitted that in many moments, she felt small and invisible, even standing beside one of the most powerful stars in the world. Ultimately, after years of enduring, she made the difficult but courageous decision to leave Burt Reynolds, though part of her heart remained with him. Sally's trials in love did not end there. In 1984, she married Alan Greisman, a writer and director. They had a son together, and for a time, Sally believed she had finally found stability. Yet this marriage, too, was not without fractures. Differences in worldview, compounded by the pressures of their respective careers, gradually eroded the relationship. After more than a decade, they divorced in 1990. Once again, Sally faced the sting of loss, as though she could not sustain lasting love despite giving her all. 3 major relationships, an early marriage, a turbulent romance with a superstar, and a second attempt at marital stability, all ended in tears and pain. But instead of letting these wounds embitter her, Sally Field chose to turn them into lessons about self-love. She realized that for many years, she had always put others first, striving to please, accepting being undervalued, all in exchange for a love she thought was safe. But true love, Sally came to understand, must begin with respect for oneself. Without loving herself, without standing firm in her own worth, no matter who stands beside her, a woman will always feel a void. From those very heartbreaks, Sally Field discovered her inner strength. She no longer feared judgment or abandonment, for she had learned how to be her own anchor. In countless interviews, Sally has emphasized, "I used to think I needed a man to complete me, but the truth is, I have always been whole. I just didn't realize it." Looking back, Sally feels no regrets. Every relationship, no matter how it ended, offered her invaluable lessons. From Stephen Craig, She learned how to embrace the responsibilities of motherhood from Burt Reynolds. She understood the dangers of losing oneself in love. And from Alan Greisman, she realized that even when a relationship ends, what matters most is preserving respect and love for one's family. Today, well into her 70s, Sally Field no longer seeks love as a refuge. Instead, she allows it to exist in many forms: the love of a mother, the love of friends, and above all, self-love. This maturity that has enabled Sally to maintain her radiant beauty and commanding presence, a symbol not just of talent, but of resilience and independence. There are moments in life when one must confront mortality head-on, and for Sally Field, that moment came in 1908 during a terrifying plane accident that nearly took everything from her. On that day, Sally boarded a plane with her film crew to travel for a project. The California sky was clear, with no hint of impending tragedy. But as the plane lifted off, everything changed in an instant. A loud explosion rang out. Black smoke billowed from the engine. Screams filled the cabin. Metal groaned, and the aircraft shuddered violently in midair. Those moments, as Sally would later recount, felt as if they stretched into an entire lifetime. As the plane plunged, her heart raced. Memories flashed before her eyes: her sons, her family, moments left unsaid, apologies unspoken, life unfulfilled. And then, a miracle occurred. The pilot executed an emergency landing, the plane skidding along the runway amidst ear-splitting friction. Emergency doors popped open. Smoke and fuel fumes poured in. Passengers scrambled to escape. Sally, her legs trembling, stepped out of the cabin, blinking against the harsh sunlight. It was the moment she realized she had survived against the odds. Not everyone in that situation had been so fortunate. From the instant her feet touched solid ground, Sally Field understood that her life had changed forever. Before this, she had lived in Hollywood's relentless grind, overlapping shooting schedules, the pressure to prove herself, the fear of being forgotten. But after the accident, she began to view life through a different lens. She recalled, "I realized that what is truly precious isn't awards or roles, but peaceful afternoons with my children. A warm hug, laughter echoing through the kitchen." Death had brushed close, and in that brush, Sally learned to cherish every small moment. Rather than chasing perfection, she allowed herself to slow down, taking her children to school, sitting with them at simple meals, enjoying trips without the glare of spotlights. The 1988 accident also helped Sally shed many invisible burdens. She had once pushed herself into grueling roles, measuring her worth by others' recognition. But after escaping death, all comparisons and pressures shrank in significance. She asked herself, what matters if tomorrow were my last day? And the answer was always the same: family, love, and peace of mind. From then on, Sally became more selective in her projects. She no longer accepted every offer just to prove she was still Alice in Hollywood. Instead, she sought roles of true meaning, stories that could touch hearts, just as she had done with Norma Rae or Places in the Heart. The plane accident also made Sally more open and grateful. She often shares the experience as a reminder: we can never know what tomorrow holds, so we must love more today. She calls it her gift of survival, a gift that taught her to forgive, to let go of resentment, and to love herself without needing validation from anyone else. Perhaps it is this very ordeal that has made Sally Field feel so authentic and approachable to audiences. She is not just a talented Oscar-winning actress, but a human being who once trembled in the face of death and emerged with a heart overflowing with gratitude. Even today, whenever Sally reflects on the 1980 plane accident, she doesn't call it a tragedy, but rather a milestone of enlightenment. It taught her that fame may come and go, but love and the simple moments of life are what endure. As she entered her 60s, Sally faced a new challenge, this time not from Hollywood, nor from personal heartbreak, but from her own body. In 2005, she was diagnosed with osteoporosis, a silent condition that can have serious consequences. For many, This might have been a signal to retreat, to step away from the spotlight, and quietly confront the realities of aging. But for Sally, it became an opportunity to turn her own concern into a source of strength for millions of women. Drawing from her own experience, she launched the campaign Rally with Sally for Bone Health, traveling across the United States to raise awareness about osteoporosis and encourage women to care for their bone health early. The image of a two-time Oscar-winning star speaking passionately about bones and small, often overlooked aspects of health became a powerful inspiration, a reminder that no matter who you are, your health is your most valuable asset. Sally didn't stop at health advocacy. She used her voice to champion women's rights and LGBTQ+ equality. She spoke candidly about inequality in Hollywood, calling for fair opportunities for actresses. In an emotional address at the Human Rights Campaign, she openly supported her son Sam, who is gay, urging parents to love and protect their children exactly as they are. Moments like these reveal a Sally Field who is far more than a silver screen icon. She is a humanitarian warrior, tirelessly devoted to her community. From osteoporosis awareness to women's justice to the freedom to love, every effort underscores one truth: Sally's fighting spirit has never dimmed. From a young girl carrying deep, hidden wounds, she emerged from the shadows to become one of Hollywood's brightest icons. She is not only a gifted actress whose performances have touched millions of hearts, but also a courageous woman who uses her voice and experience to encourage anyone in pain to rise and reclaim their inner strength. Sally's legacy is found not just in timeless films, but in a life lived with resilience and an unyielding determination to transform suffering into purpose. And perhaps that is the most powerful message she leaves for the world, that we all have the power to rewrite the story of our own lives. So, what about you? If Sally can turn her pain into a boundless source of inspiration, are you ready to share your story and spread that strength to others? Leave your thoughts, because some messages, a single story is enough to ignite hope in someone out there.